Do you recommend beer as prebiotics?
No. Hops can be medicinal, so it's phytoestrogenic. So, but then the thing is, alcohol doesn't do good things for your hormones. So hops can help can be good for your hormones, but alcohol is not good for your hormones. So unfortunately, I don't know. I think you're out of luck with the beer.
Trying. Well, I was trying hard. Okay. Hey everyone, thank you for tuning into the Brain Tea Productivity Show and podcast. I am your host, Alex Cahill, with another plan to reach new levels of productivity and greatness. Today's productivity plan is with Dr. Corina Kipsey. Dr. Corina is a naturopathic doctor based out of Toronto. She has written two health-related books, one about tendon injuries and the other about ketogenic diet. She has also written research papers on dementia and several articles about mental health. Not to mention, of course, that she's one of our earliest supporters here at Brain Tea, helping us in researching the ingredients and so many other related natural health topics. Dr. Corina, thank you so much for taking the time to share this conversation with us today.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Today's topic is how digestion affects your brain and your level of productivity, what food to eat less of, and what food to eat more of. But before we dive into that, Dr. Corina, I know that you have struggled with your digestive health for the most of your life, and you were able to treat yourself naturally. Do you mind telling us more about the story?
Yeah, sure. So growing up, when I was probably in my pre-teens, teen years, I had a lot of digestive upset, and to be honest, didn't even really realize that it was abnormal, because it's something that not a lot of people even talk about, right? And so then when I finally, open up about it and talk to other people about it, I realized that this is not how you should be feeling every day. Your stomach should not be hurting you every day. You should not be constantly in pain. I was finally able to educate myself all about the gut and gut health. And
were you visiting clinics or seeing doctors or anything like that before?
Just going in for regular checkups with my medical doctor. She just kind of would ask, and everything's okay with your digestion? And I would always just say yes, because I thought it was. And then I started seeing a naturopath. So that's where things turned around.
And that was the trigger for your field of study later on?
Yeah, I was already getting into the idea of becoming a naturopath when I started seeing one myself as a patient.
This is amazing. And you resolved all of that?
Yeah, it's so much better. It's a world of difference. Yeah.
This would lead us to the main question here, which is, how digestion affect our brain in general and our levels of productivity.
So I've treated a lot of patients for gut health, and what I actually find, so people usually come in saying, I have indigestion, I have bloating, or I have constipation, or I have diarrhea or IBS. And that's why we get into treating the gut. But as a happy side effect, they'll usually say, I've realized that I've had brain fog all these years and didn't realize until the gut was treated, right? And they'll say, my focus has improved so much. I'm able to concentrate so much more on my studies or my work. Usually what I see is people don't come in with that as their main concern, but then they realize after treating the gut that is something that can improve once you do treat the gut.
What is the main link? How does it work exactly?
Yeah, so we have what's called the enteric nervous system. And so that's inside the GI tract, and there are over 100 million different nerve cells there that line the GI tract. So that's one connection. And we have it's called the vagus nerve, and it goes from the brain directly to the stomach. So there's a very direct link there as well. And they call the gut the second brain, because there are so many nerve cells there, and because there are so many mood hormones that are in the gut.
Like, what is the indication that if I'm having a brain fog right now to tell me that, oh, probably there is something wrong with my digestive system? As you're saying, you struggled this for years and you didn't even know that you have a problem.
If you have brain fog and if you have difficulty concentrating or focusing, then take a look at your digestive health. And because I was like in the dark about what normal digestion is, like let's outline it right now so that it's clear for everyone. So in terms of bowel movements, it should be about 1 a day is the general frequency, and it should be smooth and easy to pass, like no cracks in it, and then kind of like a medium brown in color. So that is kind of like, that's the optimal stool. That's what we're aiming for. A lot of people don't talk about this. A lot of people don't know about this. It's becoming more and more, I think, common to talk about it nowadays. And so if you have any problems, like if your stool isn't like that, what I just described, then it's possible that you have a problem going on in your gut, and it could be causing some brain fog as well.
I always need, when I used to drink coffee, I don't drink coffee anymore for a few years, but I always need coffee to go to.
Well, coffee is a laxative, and we can become dependent upon laxatives. Anyone who uses, like Senokot or anything like that, you can become dependent upon them. Those can become habit forming, just because if you're taking them all the time, then eventually you might get to a place where you have to have it in order to initiate a bowel movement. And so coffee is still a laxative, but it's a more gentle type of laxative. So it's not going to be, as habit forming, but it can still be habit forming. Yeah, for sure.
Let's say in a daily basis, I'm doing some work. If I haven't eaten anything and I feel brain fog, this is not related to my digestive, right?
Even if you haven't eaten anything, your digestion can still be causing brain fog, because this is like a long-term thing. So usually what causes brain fog is leaky gut. Intestinal hyperpermeability is also what we call it in naturopathic medicine. It's a slow process that happens over time.
And what is the indication for leaky gut? How would I know if I have one or not?
So leaky gut, the symptoms include things like indigestion. So you're bloating, constipation, diarrhea, abdominal pain, all of those. Joint pain, brain fog, and fatigue. Those tend to be the symptoms. So if you have all those together, chances are you may have a leaky gut.
What kind of test you ask for to know if they have leaky gut or not?
So there's no direct test that I'm aware of for leaky gut, but if someone has several vitamin or mineral deficiencies, then that's a sign that potentially there's some leaky gut happening, because when you have leaky gut, you can't absorb your nutrients as well.
Does it take a long time to cure leaky gut?
No, it doesn't take very long. I had a patient once ask me, like, do I have to get surgery for this? And no, it's so much more simple than that. It's very simple. I've seen results within a few weeks.
Oh, that's amazing. Like complete healing. So can we do this as a precaution? For example, even I may have, I may not have, but what would I do in case I have to fix it?
Yeah, you can take it, preventatively or as a precaution. One of the great things for this is a probiotic. So, the probiotics are the good bacteria in our gut, and taking a probiotic has been shown to help heal that intestinal lining. And another thing that helps is L-glutamine. So that's an amino acid that also helps to repair the inner lining of the gut. And then there are some demulcent herbs. So demulcent it's soothing to the interior lining of the stomach and of the intestines. And so having demulcents can also help with that healing. So that's things like licorice root, slippery elm, marshmallow root. These are all herbs that are demulcents and can help heal the intestinal lining.
What probiotics do you take?
Probiotics you can get through food, or you can get it in supplement form. So if you want to get it through food, it'll be in fermented foods. So sauerkraut or kimchi or yogurt. kefir, kombucha, or the other option is to take supplements. And usually it's in capsule form. They also have them in powdered form.
The capsules would really replace what you can take from the natural food, like the fermented food and all of that.
Yeah, so there's always something to be said for having whole foods, right? Because then you're also getting benefits of the other compounds that are in that food. When you're having the capsule, the good thing about that is that you know exactly which strain you're getting and in which amounts. Like, you know the dose that you're getting.
Usually, how long the course will last for?
I like to do about a month of probiotics and then switch it up. It's good to constantly keep your gut guessing. Keep it surprised, keep it working, because you never want your gut to become complacent. So what I often recommend is that people, once they finish their 1 month of probiotics or finish a bottle of probiotics, that they then switch strains or switch brands. And then maybe after that, take a break and go off of probiotics for a month or so, and then try a new strain and just constantly keep your gut working.
Can we overpopulate?
There is something called SIBO. So that stands for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And that's when you have too much bacteria in the gut. Yeah, so that's something to keep your eye out for. And another thing that I think is important is if you have a lot of bad bacteria in your gut, you're going to need to clear that out before you take a probiotic. So think of it like as a garden, right? So if you have a whole bunch of weeds growing in this garden, you could go and you could plant seeds for your beautiful flowers, but the garden's full of weeds. So what you do first, naturally with the garden, you weed the garden and then you plant your seeds of the good stuff that you want to grow.
I love it. Great example. And how do you do that?
Yeah, so the weeding process, how I usually do it, how I recommend patients do this in their lives, is to do a fast. So like a 3-day liquid fast. I found that works well. And then you can start to reincorporate more solid foods, and that's when you introduce the probiotic. That's when you plant the seeds for the good flowers, the good bacteria.
Amazing. I'm going to take you back to the liquid diet. Can you tell us more about that?
If you think about it, it's giving your digestion a break, right? If it doesn't have to break down all this food, then, so what I recommend is people have just water, vegetable juices, and then broth, like soup broths, and tea. I allow them to have tea, like herbal teas and things like that. After those 3 days, we do for the next few days, next 3 or 4 days, incorporating some more solid foods like smoothies or soups, things like that. And then we move on to like cooked vegetables, and then we go back to a regular but healthy diet.
What's the mechanism that happened to actually remove these bad bacteria?
During these 3 days, usually you're having more bowel movements. So that's how you're getting rid of that bad bacteria.
I see. And then with this bowel movement, only the bad bacteria goes and the good bacteria stays?
So that's the thing. Bacteria is just going to leave. That's why it's important that we repopulate with the probiotic after the 3 days. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard you before saying that digestion start with the brain first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a lot of people have heard the saying, digestion doesn't start in the stomach, it starts in the mouth, but it actually starts before that. It starts in the brain. If we see food, if we smell food, digestion processes are starting in our bodies. Because the brain tells the digestive system to get going and get started. So your saliva will start going and your enzymes will start going, and then that signals the stomach that food is coming. And so it all starts in the brain. And that's actually another reason why it's good to prepare your own food, because as you're, chopping and slicing and like smelling these things and heating them up in the pan and all of that, that's starting the digestive process. Yeah, because you're smelling it and your saliva starting and your digestive enzymes start being created.
This is amazing. Is there any enzymes, different enzymes for different foods?
There are different enzymes for proteins versus carbohydrates versus fats. So there will be different types of enzymes to break down each of the different macronutrients.
I've been obsessed with fat for the last few years, and especially that you wrote a book about ketogenic diet. So what is your take on fat, and how does it actually affect your brain and your levels of activity during the day?
Fats are so important for brain health. And I was just reading a study a couple days ago about the ketogenic diet for dementia and how helpful it can be. So when it comes to the ketogenic diet, I actually think that it's not necessarily the best choice for everyone. I think there's a time and a place and a certain kind of person who it works for. So for things like epilepsy, for dementia, like for brain conditions like that, then the ketogenic diet is great because fats are so important for the brain and for brain health. If we talk about different kinds of fats, so like omega-3 fatty acids, they're anti-inflammatory. So that's how they work. That's how they help the brain. Your avocado, your coconut, things like that, they're high in healthy fats, they're high in saturated fats, and that's what we need for proper brain health.
So it's not necessarily to recommend keto diet for everyone, right? This is what you said.
Correct. Yeah. I've seen a lot of patients who are women and they find that it messes with their hormones, and it can definitely change up their menstrual period in a bad way. That's the whole thing about naturopathic medicine, right? We're all about individualized care. So I would never say that one type of diet is absolutely good for every single person.
This is what dietitians fail to explain. When you see everybody's going crazy about keto, a friend of mine, she was trying to lose weight for a few months and she was using the keto diet, and it was a torture for her. And she felt so guilty. And, she wasn't feeling happy. Plus, all the effects, actually she gained weight because of the stress. It's like, why is it not working for me? But yes, like nobody say that, oh, by the way, it doesn't mean that if it works for some people, it works for you.
Yeah, and I see so many people come in. Usually it's, I see a lot of couples, one male, one female, and they'll be on the same diet. They live together, so they're eating the same things, they're preparing the same foods, they're eating the same things in the same portions. And the male will say, this is the best diet, I've lost so much weight, I feel great, I'm healthy. And the female will say, this is horrible, I haven't lost any weight, we're eating the same thing, I don't understand. And that's just a perfect example. And I've seen that multiple times.
Right now I'm 75 kilograms. Before I was 120. So
oh, yeah.
I was like 40 kilos more. And what I started, I eliminated everything, just fruit and vegetables for a few months, and start introducing different foods slowly. I was doing this just to understand my body. Nobody told me that. I just wasn't feeling good. And that's what got me into all this natural medicine, herbs, and all of that.
That's kind of like what I would call an elimination diet. And so what I like about the elimination diet is that it's very tailored to the individual, because what you're doing is you're eliminating any of the general food sensitivities that people tend to have for a few weeks, and then you're reintroducing the foods, one food 1 week at a time, and seeing how your body reacts to them. Yeah, I've seen tons of patients do this type of diet and the reintroduction phase, and completely different results from one individual to the next. But it can give you a lot of good information about your body as an individual person.
Let's say I came to you right now, I'm eating everything, right? So what are the main foods that to start with before the elimination? This is, let's say, the cleanest food that we don't think it will cause you any sensitivities.
Yeah, it will really depend on what's going on with the person. But because I do have a special focus on digestion, what I'm doing a lot of right now is like a low FODMAP diet. Having people cut out the easily fermented type of carbohydrates in the body. It would be eating low FODMAP vegetables, low FODMAP fruits, having your meat protein sources, low FODMAP nuts and seeds. And that's how I'm approaching things with people a lot right now.
Because you would think that by default, all your veggies are good.
Correct. A lot of people do think that. But It all comes back to the individual. If someone has IBS, then certain vegetables that are high FODMAP are not going to be good choices. Like your broccoli or your cruciferous vegetables can be really, really hard on the gut, especially if they're raw. If they're cooked, usually it's a lot better on the gut. But yeah, and even things like how garlic and onions can be really healthy because they are antibacterial, or they're like natural antibacterials. But if you have IBS, no, onion and garlic are not a good choice. It's one of the first things that I recommend people cut out if they have IBS. Yeah, so it's all depends on the individual.
Now I'm kind of hesitant to ask you what would be the good food to eat or the food to avoid.
But if we're talking specifically about brain health, then like definitely there are foods that we can talk about.
So if we would have a list right now, what would be at the top of your list for foods to avoid if you want to have better focus and
productivity,
clarity?
One of the first ones that you'll want to cut out is like the refined sugars, the refined carbs. So like your white flour, white sugar, anything basically that's white and processed is not going to be so good for the brain. So that can increase insulin resistance in the brain, which can then lead to brain fog and lowered productivity. And it can actually decrease neuron formation in the brain as well. And then also like your processed foods. So I say like buy ingredients, not foods. So buying those processed foods, those are not going to be great for the brain. They also increase your visceral fat, right? Which is the fat around your organs. It can lead to brain tissue damage. Also no trans fats, right? So trans fats are going to be in things like anything that's deep fried, also like your margarine, lard, things like that. So those actually are they've been associated with dementia, and they can decrease the volume of the brain.
If we replace the refined sugar with honey, let's say, was that still okay?
That's a better option. Yeah, I would say that's a better option for brain health. Yeah.
So just find the replacement, right? And if you're eating any white flour, just find something which is like whole grains.
Yeah, whole grain is an easy replacement.
Okay, amazing. What other foods we need to be aware of?
Aspartame is another one. So aspartame, I think in recent years it's become more known how it can negatively impact your health. But basically it's a chemical stressor, and it can make your brain more vulnerable to oxidative damage. And so we want to avoid aspartame. So that's going to be in your like diet pop drinks, also like your sweeteners to add to coffee and things like that.
Is it okay to just replace all your sugar with stevia? Does it have any side effects?
Stevia is a better option than sugar, but I think the best thing to do is to get rid of those sweet cravings altogether, right? So, and the best way to do that is just elimination, just complete elimination of it. And it takes 21 days for your taste buds to change over. And so if you do 21 days without the stevia, the sugar, none of those sweeteners, then you'll find that you don't need it anymore. If you're gonna go for a sweetener, monk fruit seems to be one of the best options out there. Like there's no sugar in it, so it doesn't affect your blood sugar levels. Also, it doesn't impact insulin, which is something that aspartame still does. So aspartame, even though it doesn't have any sugar in it, still can lead to insulin resistance. And then another one to talk about when we're talking about brain health, another one to cut out is fish that are high in mercury. So that's going to be like your kind of predator fish, right? It's going to be the bigger fish usually that are at risk of being higher in mercury. So like your things like shark, swordfish, tuna, fish like that are going to be higher in mercury. So that's an important one to avoid. And then the last thing that I would say to cut back on for brain health would be alcohol, right? So alcohol is going to impact your brain health, and I'm sure anyone who's drank alcohol knows like your brain is not at its best after alcohol. And so if you want to have, the cleanest diet possible for your health, then that might be one to consider. cutting out, because it can disrupt your neurotransmitters in the brain.
Is there any amount which doesn't cause any damage? Like 1 glass of wine, for example, something like that? Or all the same?
Yeah, so if I'm answering your question of the cleanest diet possible for your brain, then that answer I would say would be 0. But realistically, and like what I recommend to my patients is in moderation is fine. Like you said, like 1 glass of wine every few nights, I think that that's completely fine.
Do you recommend beer as prebiotics?
No. If we're talking about prebiotics, then anything with fiber in it is a prebiotic. So
beer is not good for anything at all? Like, can we just have one good thing about it?
I can't. Oh, okay. There's hops in it, and hops can be medicinal, so it's phytoestrogenic. So, but then the thing is, alcohol doesn't do good things for your hormones. So hops can help can be good for your hormones, but alcohol is not good for your hormones. So unfortunately, I don't know. I think you're out of luck with the beer.
I was trying hard. Okay. Awesome. Okay. What other tips can you give us today?
Okay, so let's talk about foods that are good for the brain, like what you should be eating if you want good brain health. So you know how I mentioned the fish that are high in mercury to avoid, but then there are fish that are good for brain health. So your oily fish. So this is the smaller fish. So things like herring, anchovies, salmon actually as well is another one, that are really high in omega-3s. So those are high in good fats for the brain. Another good one is green tea. Green tea is one of things that I love for brain health. So it has a compound in it, EGCG. Yeah. So the EGCG in there, right, as you know, antioxidants. Also, green tea has L-theanine in it, and L-theanine is an amino acid, and it's calming, and it promotes alpha brainwave activity. So alpha brainwave activity is what we want. It's what gives us calm. And so when we have green tea, we're calm and focused. And I think it's great. I'm always telling people, if you want to focus, green tea, really, especially for people who are like students or studying, or, you know, jobs where they need to use a lot of brain power and a lot of focus, and like green tea is it. Also blueberries. Yeah, we haven't talked about blueberries yet. So those are full of antioxidants, and really, really good for the brain. Also broccoli. So like I said before, broccoli might not be the best choice for someone with like IBS, but if you want focus for brain health, broccoli is a great one because of the antioxidants in it. Also dark chocolate, full of antioxidants. That's another one. And turmeric. So turmeric is anti-inflammatory, and it has been shown to help clear amyloid plaques. So amyloid plaques are what can contribute to dementia and Alzheimer's. So turmeric is really good for that. And then pumpkin seeds, that's another one that I really like. So full of lots of different nutrients like minerals, right? So it has a lot of zinc in there, magnesium, copper, iron. So those are all good for the brain, for brain health. Nuts in general have vitamin E, which is important for the brain. And then oranges too. So they're high in vitamin C. And so vitamin E, vitamin C, these are antioxidants. So if we're having foods high in those vitamins, then that's going to be good for the brain. So those are the ones that I would say are the most important for your brain health.
Wow, this is amazing. Yeah, thank you so much. This has been really informative, and I learned a lot of things about the digestive system. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the time and the call today. Where can people find you?
So you can find me at naturopathinthegta.com, and you can read all the information about me there. And then if you click on contact at the top of the page, then you can reach out to me, and I'm happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Amazing. I will also share your contact information and social media handles if anyone would like to reach out to you. Thank you so much. That's been a great call, and I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. I hope you got some great value and you enjoyed this video. Please support our mission in raising awareness of mental well-being by sharing this video with your family and friends. And please like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to be able to receive and watch our new videos.